The year is 2057. It has been the longest 48 hours of my life. But I can finally say with some confidence that Gabriel will be an Arsenal player. Thank God. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series show in which we react to the latest Arsenal news and transfers and matches, etc., etc., blah, blah, blah. Gabriel is going to be an Arsenal player. This saga is coming to an end for once on a positive side, which is quite nice. Quite happy about that, it's fair to say. And to be honest, when you're looking at someone like Gabriel, and it's not even like the caliber of Benzema or Higuain or Yann Villa, but I've just been desperate for this to get done more than any other deal I can think of. More so for my sanity, more so for me not having to then create constant videos on the latest updates about Gabriel. I'm sick of the guy. I don't even want him to sign. But yeah, it's a great news. It's great news, and Romano's confirmed it. Ornstein's confirmed it. Your classic ITKs have confirmed it. I've been saying for weeks that this deal is going to get done, and it seems that is certainly going to be the case. What my initial reaction to this is that I can't quite believe that Arsenal are getting a player of Gabriel's quality for the fee and the wage that we're getting a player of his quality for. 30 million euros and 40 grand a week for a at the back. Strong, quick, fantastic passing ability, great aerial ability, strong tackler. It is really, and I don't mean he's not like rapid, but he's not slow by any means. For a lot of people that have been saying that he's not the quickest, he is not slow. I mean, you need to have a look at his videos. He is not slow at all. And I just can't quite deal with the fact that Arsenal have finally started to change their ways. I did an article yesterday. It's on the website if you want to go and check it out, looking at how Arsenal are kind of changing the way that they're doing their transfers. And this will be Arsenal's, believe it or not, 6th signing of the window. I know for a lot of people it feels like the 2nd after Willian, but no, Arsenal have made 5 signings already this window. We covered one on the Tactical Breakdown show yesterday, which is still on the channel, talking about Salah Eddin. We've also signed Jonathan Dinzei from Spurs. We've signed Tim Akinola from Huddersfield. We've signed George Lewis from Fran Larvik, and and I think that's it. Yeah, they are the extra 4 young guys that have come into the under-23 squad. And I think sometimes that goes amiss, but I don't want to dwell too much on that. If you want to read my thoughts about the 5 signings that we've made so far, then check out the article on the website. But for me, the Gabriel signing is important for the long-term structuring of Arsenal. For a long time, we have been waiting for Arsenal to address this centre-back situation, and it finally feels like we're doing it in a proactive and really solid way. You look at what Arsenal have done in the past with centre-back signings. We've seen Gabriel, Paulista, come in and be a bit shaky. We've seen David Luiz be bought at the end of the window because we couldn't sign up on Meccano. We've seen Socrates and Mustafi be brought in, and they all kind of partnered Koscielny until he left. And Koscielny was sort of the mainstay, and the only real success I felt of a centre-back we had, to a lesser extent you could call out Thomas Vermaelen, I suppose. Per Mertesacker I liked a lot, but didn't really inspire the majority of the fan base. Whereas it finally feels like, with the signings of William Saliba and now Gabriel, that it looks like Arsenal truly are addressing the issues that they've had, and it's taken long enough for Arsenal to do it. And not only that, but if the rumours are to be believed about the likes of Thomas Partey's release clause possibly being paid in the near future, Aouar as a possible target as well, Danny Ceballos' loan with an option or obligation to buy at the end of next season, a real possibility as well. If Arsenal can maintain this momentum in the transfer market and get these deals in, it really genuinely looks to be a fantastic and possibly one of the best windows that we've seen in an Arsenal sense and from an Arsenal perspective for sure. Before I go any further, I do want to give a shout out to Ryan from the Mr. Arsenal podcast. If you're not checking out this evening his Champions League and player quiz that he's doing, please make sure you go and check it out. I was supposed to be on it, but as you can see, I'm now dressed up. It wasn't for you guys. I'm sorry. I would get dressed up for you, but I'm a bit too lazy for that, if I'm honest. But I'm now going out. I've been surprised with a night out with the other half on Champions League final night. I love her. It's great. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, it's great that I'm missing the Champions League final. Don't tell her this, that I'm a little bit annoyed, but anyway, she's really nice. But anyway, I'm really happy about the deal, and I'm happy that Arsenal are going to move forward with this. And if you look at Arsenal's backline, you look at Kieran Tierney at left back, you look at Gabriel as a left-footed centre back playing on that left-hand side. You've got William Saliba at right centre back. The right back slot for me is the only real position with a question mark over it, because Hector Bellerin has been linked with moves away, possibly to Juventus, in a swap deal for Regani, which now makes absolutely zero sense for me if you're thinking about our backline. And then if you're also thinking about Ainsley Maitland-Niles, there's questions over the Englishman, looking at where he might play in the future, looking at as a midfielder, looking at as a right wing back, looking at as a left back. He played in the, of course, the semi-final and the final. And if he leaves, there's big questions about that right back slot. What I would say, and there's a guy that I'm going to do a video on. I'm away next weekend, which is why obviously I'm not going to be around for the Community Shield, but I'm planning on doing a tactical breakdown on Osei Tutu, who spent this year on loan at Bochum in Germany in the second tier, I believe it is, of German football. Did really well for them, and he's a young 21-year-old right back that's got a big future ahead of him, and he could be looked upon as someone that could come in. So there's going to be a video out on him next weekend, which is going to be planned for when I'm away, so I can pre-load it and you still have content whilst I'm away. But that's the plan. Let's get some of your comments. I feel like I've completely neglected you guys in the chat box since jumping on. So we're going to spend the rest of the show going through lots of your thoughts and comments on the news about Gabriel. Fahim says, would you take Partey or Aouar? I would personally prefer Partey, just because I think that he adds something that we don't have right now. I think Aouar comes in, fantastic player, technically brilliant, really good creatively going forwards, and we need that, I know. But I feel like Arsenal lack someone from deep that can beat the press, can be destructive, can be technical. And I think that Partey offers you those things. You look at, I always bring up this example, but the Leicester game at home this season when we drew 1-1, Arsenal continuously failed to beat the press, to break out from the lower. With Graham Hunter on the show. If you've not checked it out for whatever reason, if you've been living under a rock, we interviewed Graham Hunter about Thomas Partey. It's on the channel. Returning subscribers, I think it might be actually your featured video. If you haven't checked it out already, please do. But I chatted to Graham about Thomas Partey, and he basically brought true everything that I thought about the Ghanaian. He looks to be someone that helped Arsenal beat the press, break out from the back, and really help our front line as well. Musima, I hope I pronounced your name correct, says, hello Tom, I'm watching you live from Uganda. Update me about Coutinho and Partey. Well, in terms of Partey, I've already kind of touched on that. There could be more news next week. We're still waiting on it. Whether or not you believe the in the knows about it, but Arsenal supposedly are willing to activate his release clause. We'll have to see. Coutinho, I mean, I don't expect Coutinho to happen this window. I don't particularly want it to happen if it would negate us signing the likes of Partey or Aouar. I'd much rather Aouar than Coutinho all day long. If that was a question, all day long. Omar says, what do you make of the Thiago rumours? And I saw another question from Kitchener who said, what's the link with Thiago? Excellent player, but another 29-year-old. Are we giving up on Partey? I'm not sure about the Thiago stuff. Obviously, I thought he was going to Liverpool, to be honest. I thought that was pretty much a done deal. And to be bringing in Thiago, he's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong. But it would completely depend on what he's coming in. Please let me know, because I've not followed him too much in terms of his contract. Is he still in contract, or is he running out of contract? If it's a free deal, that's probably an okay thing to do. But if it's going to cost a decent fee, then I would be thinking Arsenal could probably go a bit further and look to bring in someone else. But let me know. 1 year left, says Amir. So he's still going to cost you a bit, probably around, I'd imagine no more than, say, £20 million, surely. He runs out in February. Someone's saying that's incredible. Does he really run out in February? That doesn't make any sense. The season doesn't finish in February. But yeah, I think he's a great player. I think he's technically really gifted. I loved him when he was a youngster at Barcelona. Obviously, when Pep Guardiola left Barcelona, went to Bayern Munich, he took Thiago with him, and he became the player that everyone thought he was going to become when he was at Barcelona. Arguably, if you look at the way Barcelona sort of bred players from their La Masia academy, legendary academy, that just hasn't quite produced those players of Iniesta and Xavi and the like. He was one of those players, and had they have kept Thiago, had they have kept that player at the club, I feel like you would have seen the club stay more successful for longer, but they didn't. He moved off to Bayern Munich and has done incredibly well since going there. He was a January transfer. Yeah, but usually what they do when they're January transfers is they do like 18-month contracts. So, or like 30-month contracts, so, or whatever. So like, I don't really get why they would make it end in February. That's a really weird negotiation if that's the case. He can sign on a free in January for the following season. Taib Hussein says, Tom, I read that Arteta wants to sell 10 players. Do you think this is true? I do think it's true. I think there's a likelihood he probably does want to sell 10 players. The issue is with that is, can he sell 10 players? Are you going to be able to find a sale for all of those players? I mean, if we just jump onto the Arsenal website and have a look at Arsenal's team. Oh, and I should say a massive shout out to the women's team yesterday. I was absolutely gutted that we couldn't get past PSG. They put a real massive effort in that game, and they've done way better in the European than the men's team have by far. And massive props to all of those girls for doing a fantastic effort last night. We just couldn't quite get there, but yeah, it's a shame that we couldn't go a bit further in the competition, but massively proud of the girls, massively so. If we have a look at Arsenal's team, the goalkeeping situation at the club is, I mean, you have to think that one of those two keepers is going to want to move on because the other one is going to be starting. And Martinez has put a real strong hat into the ring to be our starter for next season and beyond. And if you can move one of them on for decent fee, if someone came in with 30 million for either of those two, I don't think I'd turn my nose up at it too much. Maybe a bit more than 30 million considering the season they both had, and seeing as Leno was brought in for about 25 as well. But still, I look at both of those and think it's a great problem to have. It's an amazing problem to have. Iron Cub says, did you see we're likely to take Brentford's set piece coach? And I think I saw someone else jump in earlier on, if it wasn't Iron Cub as well, about the Brentford situation, which is fine. Of course, we brought in Iñaki Kena, who is the goalkeeping coach in Brentford as well, who's working with the likes of Leno and Martinez. Irrelevant Gamer, it was, that said about Brentford. Is it true? I don't know, honestly, if it's 100% true, but it sounds like one of those rumours that could very well be true from the nature of it. So I wouldn't be very surprised at all if that was the case. In terms of the back line, Bellerin's a big question mark over him. Obviously, we've got a fantastic group of guys that are coming through, Saliba and then hopefully Gabriel too. I mean, I say hopefully, it's pretty much there now. Socrates is looking like he could be off to Napoli, which we could get a decent fee for him, hopefully in the region of a few million quid to strengthen the coffers this summer. Rob Holding, I mean, who knows at this state about him. And to be honest, I completely forgot about Cedric when I was talking about our right-back situation. If Bellerin moves on, we've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles, we've got Cedric, and to be honest, I'll be honest with you, there's been some worrying things apparently coming out of the training ground regarding Cedric. So who knows at this stage? Who knows? Mustafi, Squadron Mustafi is injured, and it was unlikely that we'd see him moved on this summer. I think Arteta likes him. I think he looks at him as a real decent option still, even with Gabriel coming in. I think that he's looked upon by the manager with a lot of faith. I think he can play that right centre-back in a back three really well. And I think there's the opportunity for Mustafi to maybe bed in Saliba. And if Mustafi plays like he has played this season, you've got the opportunity to not put too much pressure on the Frenchman just as he signs. Callum Chambers, I think, is a real option you could have to leave. I think that if Fulham come in with a decent bid for him, I'm more than open to seeing him leave. A lot of people have compared him, saying that he was one of our best defenders before he got his injury. So was Rob Holding. You don't know how these players are going to return from injury. You really don't. So if someone comes in with a decent bid for the Englishman, I'd take it all day long. Pablo Mari, I'm still genuinely excited about him. We haven't seen loads of him because he got his injury and he came in January and wasn't able to play for quite a while before bedding in. But I'm still quite excited to see what Marie can do. If Gabriel comes in and Marie starts over him to start with when he returns from injury and smashes it, I've got no question that's fine. I'm okay with it because I love having as many options that we've got at centre back as possible. I just hope we haven't wasted any money on him because I still think there's a lot for the Spaniard to give us. David Luiz will have a fine final season. I think we'll see him start a lot of games this year, to be honest. I can't see Saliba and Gabriel's centre back partnership blossoming in full this season. I hope that we see it towards the end of the season, but I still think that David Luiz is going to fetch a fair few games this season. Kolasinac, I hope goes. I hope we can see a decent sell for the guy. But for me, David Luiz is going to be here for the rest of the season and playing quite a few matches as well. Tom, I have some inside news. Why don't you read my comments, says Aravind. I'm sorry, there's so many, Aravind, that I just don't quite see them, if I'm honest. He says, Tom, what if I told you that our midfield three next season would be Aouar, Partey, and Ceballos? I'd say, where's Granit Xhaka? That's what I'd say. Where's my boy? Where's Granit Xhaka? Is what I'd say. If we were signing those three, I'd be ecstatic. Obviously, it'd be amazing. But at the end of the day, if that happens, it's great. If it doesn't, I think that one of those two plus Ceballos is a really good signing for us this season as well. Looking into the midfield, Bukayo Saka, you're never going to sell him. Ozil is here for this season. Hopefully, we move him on as soon as possible. It's as simple as that for me. I'm not going to go into any more detail. Torreira, if we sign the likes of Partey and Ceballos and even Aouar, you have to think that Torreira could be offloaded. No problem at all. Guendouzi has been linked in the Aouar deal. If Lyon take that seriously, I think they're absolute monks if they do, but don't tell them I said that. But yeah, if we can somehow get the price of Aouar down using Guendouzi, amazing. Joe Willock, I don't see a future aim at the club, personally. I think that, especially when you consider the players that are being linked and being brought in, he's a good squad player. He can be someone that gives us some depth, but I don't see a long-term future at Arsenal for me. But hopefully, if he does get enough minutes, he's played a fair amount of time for Arsenal and would command, I feel, a decent-sized fee. So there is that. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, I want to see him stay. I think he's a really good utility player. I think he's someone that we could keep playing multiple positions and do a really solid job. Granit Xhaka, again, been one of our, if not our best player under Arteta, along with, of course, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And I just feel that he still needs to be in the side next season, along with Partey, along with Aouar, possibly Ceballos, so who knows. Emile Smith-Rowe, really want to see more of him this season. I hope we keep him. I hope he doesn't go out on loan. For me, that's the perfect guy to bring in and really bed in more than, say, a Joe Willock. El Neni, sell him, move him on, get him to Turkey. Trabzonspor apparently interested. Sell him as quickly as possible, get some money in. Front line, Willian, excited to see what he can do. Lacazette, we don't know. He could be here, he might not. If he goes, you replace him. You need to bring someone in. I like Edouard personally, but I just think that if Lacazette goes, though, there is the option to bring in a wide player because Aubameyang could be moved into a central area. Still waiting on his contract situation. Don't expect any details to be released until middle part of next week, but we'll wait and see. Nicola Pepe, look excited to see him in his second season. Can't wait to see that. Nelson, another one similar to Joe Willock. Don't see a long-term future personally. I'd be amazed and I'd love if he did and prove me wrong. I just don't quite see it at this moment. Nketiah, same sort of thing. He's got a real hard route to get into the first team regularly, especially if Lacazette goes and we bring another striker in. If not, and if Lacazette does go and we bring in a winger, then you've got to think he's got a bit more of a chance. Martinelli, again, another really exciting young player that hopefully we see more of this season. Ironically, could be in strong competition with Saka for a starting berth, but who knows at this stage. He's facing an injury, so there's always going to be that. So that kind of rounds off, if Gabriel comes in, which looks very likely, where the rest of the team comes from. And that was in sort of reaction to your question about the 10 sales. I think 10's quite a lot. I'm not sure you'll see 10, to be honest, whatsoever. Avon Teddington says, question, from a rebuild perspective, would you take would you take Jack Grealish and Leon Goretzka? Would I take Leon Goretzka? Leon Goretzka isn't a fan. He's never going to come because he's at Bayern Munich and he's going to be there for the long term. Leon Goretzka is a fantastic world-class centre midfielder that you're just not going to see in an Arsenal shirt. I wish we'd snapped him up from Schalke, but it's just not going to happen in the future. In terms of your question, though, would I rather see Grealish and Goretzka or Partey and Aouar? I'd take Partey and Aouar still. I don't think that adds enough to turn around Partey. Partey is a world-class midfielder, in my opinion. Goretzka is also a world-class midfielder, but I think Aouar is a better option for us than Grealish is. It's just my feeling. Manouche says, I think Tom is the first on YouTube pronouncing Aouar's name properly. It's because and you know what's really funny is that I notoriously, and Manouche, if you've only been watching us for so long, chat box, tell him how bad I am at pronouncing names. We had Glenn Glazer on as one of our expert members podcast, and I called him Glenn Glazer and he corrected me, and it was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, but we move on. I can't pronounce people's names properly. It's just the way it goes. I'm sorry. At least I can spell them, though. Abdul says, what about Coutinho? No, to be honest, just no. Mac Knight, CO. See, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? Mac Knight says, Tom, I think, can I just say, Mac Knight is a bloody brilliant name. Tom, I think Willock, Mainsley and Torreira will stay. We are engaged in 4 tournaments and need a big squad. I have a feeling Arteta will want to win something in terms of the season and the top 4 finish. I agree. I think that top 4 has to be the priority this season, along with winning a trophy. I'd love to see us win the FA Cup again. I'd take FA Cup over top 4 any day. Football's about trophies. It's as simple as that. But yeah, I agree with you, Mac Knight, 100%. There you go. Tom is terrible at pronouncing. Yeah, and I did. Tom used to say Bayaka Saka. I did used to say that. Yeah, so you've got too long of a memory on it. You need to move on. Christopher Fung says, I don't think Torreira will be happy in a bit part role. And I agree. And that's why I think he's going to be moved on. Jordan says, what names do you struggle to pronounce? I'm quite good at pronouncing difficult names. Now, you've laid a trap for me there, because if I tell you, I look like a mug. So yeah, you'll see it and you'll hear it. And everyone can be able to correct me. Alba says, Tom, what did you hear about Cedric Soares? I heard he's going to be at the club for a fair amount of time. I don't know what you mean about Cedric. Has there been news about Cedric? I didn't know anything. Gabriel in, who next? Tom says, Omar. It has to be Partey. Partey is the priority for me. He's the biggest signing that we've got, easily. He's the biggest signing that we can make this season. It would be huge if we brought him in. It would transform our midfield. It's the weakest part of our team is the midfield. Desperate for someone of Partey's stature and athleticism and dynamism and just creativity. The way that he can break the press is the thing I keep bringing up time after time, because he allows that to happen. If he comes in and he flops, I'll hang my head in shame. But no, he is a fantastic footballer. Pachen says, Tom, Gabriel, which is no L-E at the end. You see what I mean about spellings? Partey, a better acting midfielder with Willian. How is that Chelsea will challenge and Arsenal won't? Giroud and Laka smash French league. Werner from the German league. Just saying. I'm trying to make sense of your comment. I think that I think both Chelsea and Arsenal will challenge for top 4 easy. I think Chelsea have a real chance to challenge possibly further than that with the signings that they've made. Werner is an amazing signing. Ziyech is an inspiring signing. I mean, I don't really. I saw a video the other day. I won't use their name, but the video was effectively saying that Ziyech was an up-and-coming player. I won't name names, but maybe some people need to do a bit of research. It's fair to say. Avaravin says, Tom, I just gave you a deal. Are you taking it? I don't know, Avaravin. I don't know. Am I taking it? Am I taking the deal that you said? Apparently, Aouar, Partey, and Ceballos are coming in. I mean, if you're offering it, yeah, sure. If you're the one guy that get the deal, if you're the guy getting the deal done, then do it, mate. I have no idea. William Gustafsson says, Tom, Ceballos or Aouar? My unpopular opinion is Ceballos over Aouar. You know, I don't think that's as crazy as it seems, William, because we've seen how good the Spaniard is. If we brought in Ceballos over Aouar, I wouldn't complain too much. Genuinely, I wouldn't. I think sometimes what the issues that people find is that they get very kind of blinded and blinkered by the idea of like a fanciful mystery. We've not had them before. We know what Ceballos is about. He's a fantastic player. Don't risk it. Go get him. Still 23. Fantastic young player to still develop at the club. Fubar says that he wants a tactical breakdown on Rodrigo de Paul, who I believe is still at Udinese. Of course, used to be at Valencia, Argentinian guy. He is at Udinese. He's 26 years of age. Is he being linked with Arsenal? Because that's what people ask me to do tactical breakdowns all the time. But until we're actually linked with the guy, like significantly, I typically steer clear of it. I see one link from teamtalk.com, and yeah, I don't think there's too much credence in that just left, to be honest. So it says, hi Tom, do you rate Szoboszlai? Chat box, do me a favour. tell Say if I rate Szoboszlai. Just tell him, just let him know. Tell him what I think of Szoboszlai. And should Arsenal try and get him if Aouar is too expensive, as we can get Partey? I mean, I'm waiting to see. That is not true, Christopher. Not true. There we go. Tom loves Szoboszlai is the truth. Yeah, he's a fantastic Hungarian midfielder playing in the national team at a majorly young age. And I know it's the Hungarian national team, and they haven't produced loads of amazing players. But yeah, it's he's a fantastic player, and I'll be signing him on top of these players, not instead of. He should be being brought in no matter what. Abdul says, who do I prefer, Aouar or Sabas? Who do I prefer? I prefer Sabas, because I know Sabas way more. I know what he's about. I know what he can give. I don't know enough of Aouar. We've done a tactical breakdown on him. Jeremy Smith is your man if you want to talk about French football. But from what I've looked about Aouar, he looks a fantastic player. But I know that Sabas is a fantastic player. So I prefer the Spaniard. Messi, Raf, the Szoboszlai is his favourite player in the universe. Not true. And I don't know, only long-time listeners, this is going to be a TGT test in the chat box. Who is my favourite player? Only long-time listeners will really know who my favourite player is. You should know, because I try and bring him up as many times as possible. I do love Szoboszlai, but who is my favourite player? Can you guess? He doesn't play in the Premier League is the only hint that you're going to get, I'm afraid. Okay, they got it immediately. Yes, it's Asensio. There you are, Marco Asensio. Geez, I underrate. I take you guys for granted. You are on it, so on it with these things. You know me better than anyone, 100%. Thank you for pronouncing Aouar properly. I mean, I saw a tweet from someone who, and apparently I'd been calling him Aouar the entire time, so got that spot on. I watch French football, says Manouche, and Aouar is class. Yes, he is class. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying I know Ceballos way better. I think he's a safer bet and would be cheaper also. Marco no Sensio. Got my eye on you, Taib. Christopher Fugg says, which centre-back will be the first out the door? I assume it will be Socrates. He looks like he's going to be the guy. Carter Stage says, Tom is moving to Salzburg for Szoboszlai. It's genuinely a place I really want to go to. I'd love to go to Salzburg. Of course, with COVID right now, that's not really a thing, but yeah, I'd love to go watch and play. I was gutted that we didn't. To be fair, they'll be playing the Champions League again this season, and means unless they drop down, I won't be able to see him play. As soon as everyone will campaign. If Arsenal get Salzburg in the team, they will campaign for me to be going out there to watch them all day long. Ross Taylor says, Tom, do you believe Naby Keita would suit Arsenal better than Liverpool? I don't really know, to be honest. Naby Keita is an interesting guy. He played really deep at the start of his time at Red Bull Salzburg after moving from Istres in France, and was gradually moved forward. He found his feet in a kind of a box-to-box role for the Austrian side, moved to RB Leipzig, got a lot better playing that centre midfield role as kind of the number 8, and hasn't been able to flourish, it's fair to say. I thought he was going to be amazing. I thought he was going to be amazing in the role that Oxlade-Chamberlain is playing in. And to be fair to the Ox, he's also played fantastic there. And those two are kind of in competition. When Wijnaldum moves on, you might see Keita get more of that sort of advanced number 8 role, or more of the box-to-box style role. I loved him. I thought he was great. Obviously, when he moved to Liverpool, that kind of hampered my ability to like him. But yeah, it's in case. And I see Liverpool getting linked with Asensio as well, and it's just painful. It's just painful. William Gustafsson says, do you think Arteta will play 4-3-3 straight away? I think a back three of Luis, Saliba and Gabriel sounds good. I'm not sure. I think, William, it completely depends on who he brings in the midfield. If we bring in Partey, if we manage to get Ceballos, I think you'll see a midfield 3. If he only brings in, say, one of Partey, Ceballos, Aouar, I think you probably see a midfield 2 again. Centre midfield 2, I should say, with the sort of the 3-4-3 style formation. I think it 100% depends on that area of the pitch. T. Lopez says Sanson is not good enough. Panchen was asking if I thought Morgan Sanson from Marseille is a good deal. I look at Sanson as sort of a plan C kind of player, and that's not a disrespect to the player. I just think that there are better targets that Arsenal could go for, but that's not to say I don't like him. I think he's a really good, versatile player. I think he plays the number 8 role really well. I think he drops back into the number 6 position really well. I think creatively he's a really good player as well, and I think there's all of the ability in the world to make him a fantastic, solid, Aaron Ramsey-esque, someone that's got a real engine up and down the pitch kind of player. But I just think that Arsenal's priorities need to be elsewhere, 100%. Omar says, Tom's favourite player is Asensio. What do you mean? Of course he's my favourite player. He's fantastic. What's wrong with Arsenal, says Albalaka. I don't know, mate. Things are going pretty well right now, to be honest. I'm quite enjoying this transfer. That's a lie. I'm not enjoying this at all. T. Lopez says, I am a French football expert. Trust me. I don't know about that, mate. I don't know. Inzo says, Emile Smith-Roche, step up probably if he can cement that position. He will play there for years. I tend to agree. I think that he's going to be a really exciting player. I see a lot more potential in than, say, Joe Willett, but for me. Tom's favourite player is Kolasinac, says Christopher Fung. It's not, it's John's. Go tweet John at 305cast, at 305, C-A-S-T, good boy John, and let him know there's a tactical breakdown out that he needs to watch. Those that watch the TGT Writers podcast will know the inside joke there. And also tweet him and tell him how much he loves Kolasinac. Do it now. I'm finishing the video now. So the first thing you're going to do is go and tweet John and tell him how much he loves Kolasinac. So there you go. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, as it always is. It's fantastic news, of course. If you've joined us late, we covered the Gabriel stuff in the first 10 minutes-ish of the show. So go back and give that a watch. Love chatting to you guys. You're fantastic. I'm surprised that you managed to remember so much about this. I'm going to go enjoy my evening, even though I can't watch the Champions League final, which doesn't bother me in the slightest. It's great. But other than that, yeah. Speak to you soon, guys. Whatever news comes out tomorrow, maybe it's Alba, maybe it's transfers, maybe it's tactical breakdowns, who knows. But we'll be here to cover it. Speak to you very soon, and as always, up the Arsenal.